So those were in January and February of 2014, right around the time that the president called ISIS or ISIL the JV team. Carl Higbie is a former Navy SEAL and a Trump supporter. Larry Korb is senior fellow with the Center for American Progress and a former assistant defense secretary. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good to have all of you here. You know, when you look at it in that context, Carl, why would the president say in an interview that's happening now as he is about to leave office that his intelligence people were not giving him the full picture?
It's a fundamental lie. Barack Obama's foreign policy has been a complete disaster. He knows darn well that his intelligence community told him that, and any general that told him that ISIS was going to be a problem, he fired them. That way he wouldn't have to listen to him. And all the people who didn't speak up are the ones that stuck around, that he didn't get rid of. So when he says that he didn't hear about this from the intelligence community, that's malarkey. I know for a fact guys like General Flynn told him that this was going to be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, General Flynn, who will be the new head of the National Security Council, was pretty much screaming this from the rafters, Larry, at that point and after, because he felt that he wasn't being listened to. But he wasn't alone at all. There were plenty of intelligence officials who also said they were filing reports that they felt that were being told to sort of dumb them down a bit because the message wasn't what the White House wanted to hear, Larry.
No, I think if you go back and you just played part of General Clapper's testimony, he said in the summer of 2014 that he underestimated how strong they would get in Syria and the collapse of the Iraqi army. President Obama was already had Americans flying missions back there in 2013, and Admiral Rogers, the head of NSA, who's one of the people that Trump is considering to replace General Clapper, he said we underestimated them. That's what Obama was trying to say. People knew they were there, but they underestimated how quickly they would be able to get into Iraq and the Iraqi army would collapse. I think that's exactly what he's saying. And again, you know, intelligence people make mistakes. General Flynn was blaming Benghazi on Iran, which wasn't true.
Larry, they do make mistakes, but I guess what some people will take issue is in watching this interview is why wouldn't the president say at this point, you know what, upon reflection, there were people who were speaking out very strongly on this matter, and it would have been wise to have paid attention to them. You get a lot of information incoming, and I chose to, you know, follow some people's take on whether or not they could be contained. But I mean, this is a period during which people were being beheaded, mass beheadings on the beach. People were being drowned in cages. And we were being told, Carl, essentially that, you know, this was just sort of an out-of-control group that really couldn't establish any territory that would be meaningful to anybody.
Well, Martha, Barack Obama won't say any of that because he's so profoundly arrogant when it comes to his foreign policy. He has no understanding of what went wrong, and he doesn't care to understand because he has his agenda. Now, the issue here, too, is that I was there in 2009, and I put this in my first book, that this was going to be a problem. We were pulling out of Iraq. There was power vacuums happening. The violence was escalating, and they didn't want to admit that. So what they did was they stopped all American troop direct action missions. So we weren't allowed to go kill bad guys, which is what we were trained to do as soldiers. And then they claimed victory. Well, the enemy gets a say on whether or not the war is over, and they were saying it wasn't over, and we just pulled out anyway.
Larry?
Now, wait a second. President Bush signed an agreement that said we had to get out by the end of 2011, and we had to, in early 2009, stop our combat missions. This was not Obama who did that, and General Petraeus said—
But Obama didn't try to change it.
Yeah, but General Petraeus said even if you had left 10,000 troops there, he doesn't think it would have made any difference because it was Maliki the way he ran the place, and he wouldn't allow our troops to stay there without a status of forces agreement.
A lot of people believe that status of forces agreement could have been reached, and President Bush himself actually warned about leaving a vacuum in that area, and he said that terrorist elements would fill that vacuum if it was left. So I guess my point is that when you have 2020 and you have the hindsight on it, what would behoove a president or any leader would be to be as clear-eyed as possible in explaining what happened so that the next president could see it in a way that might be more helpful to him instead of perhaps throwing people under the bus that don't deserve it. So, Larry, thank you very much. Carl Higbie, very good to have you with us tonight as well. Thank you, gentlemen. So coming